What's the dumbest thing you believed as a kid? My brother had me convinced for a while that each person had to have a unique favorite color. And since his was blue, I had to change mine. On my first day of kindergarten, we had to introduce ourselves and say our favorite color. I was super stressed out because the kids in front of me picked the good colors. And I kinda panicked and told everyone my favorite color was gray. When I was young, my parents told me that if I kept leaving the fridge open, then I would freeze the whole world and then no one would like me. Sad face. For some reason, I thought every car that was made had to do a crash test. Probably because my dad once told that our car had a very good rating in the crash test. I was amazed by the fact that all cars were repaired so well before being sold. When I was about 4, my older sister told me that since the population of Japan was so high, Japanese people slept sideways on their beds so they could fit more people on every bed. I believed it until I went to a sleepover at 13 and suggested that we sleep Japanese style on the bed so everyone could fit. Not sure if this was just a UK thing, but as a child I had some of those gooey jelly alien toys that came in plastic eggs, and the big rumor on the playground at the time was, if you put a boy alien and girl alien in the same egg and put it in the fridge, they would make a new baby alien overnight. I told my parents about it and told them I was doing it. While in bed, my parents added the extra baby alien overnight. So when I woke up and found the third alien, I lost it. Went into school and told everyone. For years I swore blind it was true and really happened. It was a very heartbreaking day when I realized what had happened. I didn't know cars have a turn signal lever. So I thought the car knew where we were going. I thought the car would use the arrows to tell my parents where to turn. My brother and I wrote letters to Santa, and our dad would open up the coal furnace door and we would throw them in the fire. We believed they would go directly to the North Pole. I often got caught doing stupid stuff when I was a young rascal. When I would get home, my dad would say a little birdie told him he's seen me do such and such with the boys. Up until I was 8 or 9 maybe, I believe my father had some sort of snitch pigeon keeping an eye on me. 2 gems from my YOUTH1. I used to think my testicles were the eggs of my future children. Like, one day they would hatch and I'd have 2 kids. 2. I thought safe sex meant someone left their clothes on. That sex was literally sleeping next to one another and making moaning sounds. I heard things I wanna forget. You know those animatronic dinosaurs at museums? I knew they were robots. But as a child I was convinced that the robot was unaware of its animatronic status. I believed that if the robot wanted to, it could and would step over the barrier and eat me and everyone else. This fear was compounded when my dad, more than once, picked me up and pretended he would drop me down the other side of the barrier. That actors/TV characters would have to come back into a studio for each rerun of a show/movie. I would always be so amazed that people would have the time to go into a room with a camera multiple times a day just so I could watch them do the same thing over and over again. My stepdad had an old truck with 2 gas tanks that he would flip a switch to change from one to the other. He had us convinced that he would magically steal gas from other vehicles. He would tell us to pick one and we would watch the gas dial go from E to F while driving on the highway. Blew my mind. That we had to change our names during different stages of our lives. Like we have a toddler's name, a teenager's name and an adult's name. I thought the black market was an actual market. Like under a bridge or something. I believed this for longer as I want to admit. That all bald men were kidnappers. No idea where it came from. I really don't think I was kidnapped as a child. But if I was, it was definitely a bald man that did it. That my grandma G had a glass eye. And that she lost her eye in a bar fight. Nope, took me until I was 20 to discover she just had a lazy eye, and my dad and his brothers always told kids that story every holiday meet up. When I was younger, my dad upgraded the speaker setup for the TV to include surround sound. The rear speakers were mounted to the ceiling and were large white boxes. On the front of the speakers it had the numbers 3508. I always thought that was kind of strange until many years later I realized they were Bose speakers mounted upside down. I had no idea that morning sickness was associated with pregnancy. My coach was concerned when I shrugged my shoulders and stated that's what was probably causing my sluggishness at football camp practice. When I was younger, our garage always had a very distinct smell. My parents told my siblings and I that the smell in our garage was the smell of burnt tires because my dad would work on cars and dirt bikes as a hobby. Being the middle child, we always tend to find out the family's secrets whether we want to or not. Fast forward to when I am 15 years old. I standing in a parking lot with my mother and two girls I was in a quince with. As we were all waiting in this parking lot for our friend who was having the quince, I started to smell burnt tires. I said to my mom that it smelled like burnt tires. My mom and the two girls all started chuckling. I was confused as to what was funny and the two girls said to me that I was not smelling burnt tires. My mom eventually told me what that smell was and she just tried to convince me my smelling was off. I still put two and two together that night. In short, I was 15 years old when I found out that my dad was a huge pothead and would just smoke pot all the time in our garage. Also, burnt tires and weed should not smell the same. When I was a kid, my mom explained to me that we all had belly buttons because that's how our moms fed us before we were born. So I thought when you got pregnant, your belly button opened up and you just put whatever you wanted to down there. Like I thought women were just shoving chicken legs in their belly buttons. Plot twist, I'm a postpartum nurse now. And that the no minors sign outside bars and taverns was there so they wouldn't get coal dust inside and flashed their lights at everyone. Dad told me if the ice cream truck had its music playing it was out of ice cream for the day. When I was pretty young, probably about 5 years old, I met the Black Power Ranger and got a picture of him signed. In the picture you could see that he was missing his middle finger and my mom told me it was because he had flipped his mom off so she cut it off. I believed it until I was about 20 years old when my mom told me she had lied about it and didn't actually know what happened. Growing up, I told so many people this guy's mom cut his finger off. When I was younger I thought the years would stop at 2013 and then all the years would repeat itself again. Also I thought Oprah sang opera. My great uncle did a low-rent Superman cosplay for me when I was visiting at around 6 years old. And by low rent I mean blue jeans with red underwear over top. And a blue bath towel as a cape. I realized all of this several years later. At the time I was convinced it was really Superman visiting us in rural Arkansas. And I carried that shirty into 2nd grade, where I got into a fight with a classmate who claimed Superman was a fictional character. I know this response is already buried. But thanks Op for asking a question that revived a cherished childhood memory. I believe mothers breastfed regular milk with the right boob. And, get this, chocolate milk with the left boob. I thought that my stomach was actually the entire volume of my body. Eating food would pile it all up as if putting it into a bag. When I was asked why I would drink or eat smaller foods when I was full, my reasoning was there are still cracks between all the other food I ate. So it can fall through those gaps. Oh boy. I've been waiting for a question like this. So I grew up near a nuclear power plant, which 4-year-old me thought was a cloud factory. My parents didn't take me to church. But I knew that people went to church to worship God, who created the world. I was also a huge fan of the Care Bears at that time, who lived in the clouds. What do those 3 random tidbits about myself have to do with this question? Well, 4-year-old me came to the conclusion that the Care Bears go to church and worship the nuclear power plant as the creator of their world. That was perfect logic to my tiny toddler brain.